Okay, recently I bought a bunch of these Betafpv flat antenna version 1.1, and what I found were these flat antennas. The range on them were pretty bad, despite having dynamic power in my ELRS transmitter. The range on the EP2, this one is actually a lot better, even without the ceramic antenna and soldering on a wire monopole antenna or wire onto it. So what I'm going to do is, or what I have found out actually, is chopping off this flat antenna and again putting a monopole on it actually had way better range than using the flat one. But the difference between the two are very negligible, I guess you can say. The Betafpv one is maybe like 1 or 2 millimeters taller than the typical EP2, and about same width. But what I'm going to show you today is how I go about just chopping this flat antenna off, because it's really not even worth having, because it's just, the range is just so terrible. Just from looking at this right here, I can tell you that the ground side is this side, which I don't even know if it really is grounded, but the active pad is on this side, which is where you want to solder the wire onto. The length of the wire, I found on Facebook, they say 26 millimeters is long enough. I've flown 400 meters with that, no problem. But the proper length is supposed to be 31.25 millimeters, I think, 31 millimeter abouts. And I did test that today, and it was no problem as well. The reception was really good compared to the flat one. So what you need is some snips, and you want to snip on this side of the antenna. Try not to squash the chips on the top side of there, and then just slowly work your way through it. The first time I did it, I was kind of freaking out that I was going to break something, and essentially you kind of are, but whatever. Kind of put some force in it. There you go. Lift a bit of it there and work your way through. Be careful, because you don't want to lift the pad there. This side you don't care. Like I said, this side is supposed to be ground. Boop, gone. Let's check if anything's there. Looks like I did lift the pad off this side, which is no big deal, because yeah, see, you lift it right there. No big deal, because you can always scratch a trace around here, just enough to get a trace to solder onto, and then use epoxy or E6000 or whatever to secure the wire down. So it's not the end of the world. I mean, you can still salvage this. You just need to work a little harder to get to it. So I take a tweezer and scrape some of the top here, get some trace visible. And just do it slowly. You don't want to damage it, or else you won't have anywhere to solder onto. Scrape, scrape, scrape. A little bit at a time here. There you go. See some right there. So I don't know if you can see that. A little bit of a shiny bit right there. That's just enough for the wire to solder onto. So again, not the end of the world if you snip it and this entire pad comes off. So let's put some flux in there. That. Tin it. Tiny amount. And then this is already pre-tinned, I think. Tack it on there. And then just put epoxy or UV resin on it to secure it down there, and you've got yourself essentially an EP2 with a monopole wire on it for a way better reception than this thing, which I found like useless, to be honest. Like, I was flying around the playground and I was getting a lot of telemetry lost or whatever errors or callouts, and once I put this on, it went away. It pretty much had the same range as an EP2. And that's about it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave it in the comments below. I would like to find a better way of snipping this thing off. That's for sure. To like 100% cutting it off without lifting the pad. Maybe using a rework station to melt it off, but I have a rework station. I tried that before and was kind of unsuccessful, and just found it easier to just snip it off with a pair of wire snippers. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes for you. I think it's a big improvement in using the flat antenna. So good luck.